Hi everyone, welcome to SplunkGuru. So in our last video, we discussed about SPL, what it is, how to write these Splunk queries, what's the sequence of writing it, what's the best practices when you're writing the SPLs, right? So we discussed it in detail in our last video. So now let's see the SPL in action. So for that, I have ingested some sample network data into this Splunk, uh, which is installed in my local to walk you through how to write the SPLs. And so I'll walk you through like uh, the formatting, the sequence what Splunk follows, and then the search modes, the different search modes here, and then the some other fields that you should keep in mind when working on the writing Splunk queries. So to start that, I have let's query the data that I have ingested. So I have ingested some mixed network logs into this Splunk, and if you see here, around 10K events I have ingested here. So now let's go through each point here one by one. So here, this search option, what you see, this gives you the panel where you can write your SPL, right? You can write your Splunk query to get into the insights of the data. Then there is an analytics option. So like Splunk has expanded a lot as I mentioned it earlier as well. So you can create your data sets. Like it's going to be easy for the people who are not much aware about writing the SQL. So you can create the data sets for them, and they can just click on it and then visualize the data or get it into a tabular format. So it makes the work easy for them. So like you can see data sets, right? So you can create data sets and then you can refer those data sets here. Similarly, the whatever saved searches you create, so in saved searches you get three options basically. I would not say two: reports and alerts. I mean, obviously you can configure the reports and schedule them. And again, like you get lot many options there to schedule the saved searches. So while I will, when I walk you through on the configuring the Splunk alerts, I will let you know like what all actions you can configure. And in fact, in my recent video, I have explained like sending these Splunk alerts to S3 bucket, right? So similarly, there are many other options where you can uh, get notified whenever there is an alert. Dashboards, you can create dashboards. So dashboards is nothing like there are panels, and in each panel you can define your own query uh, to get the data in whatever format you need it basically. So these stats tabular form, you can visualize it, put it in a chart, right? So not many options you get there. Then now coming to here, so under admin, you just get account settings preferences. So you can uh, change your preferences like the change the time zone, the theme for this. So light mode or dark mode. So and SPL editor. So even like if you want to break SPL query into lines, you can choose all those options here. Messages, if there are any issues with your Splunk or even the warnings, you will get all those messages here under messages tab. Settings, you see not many options there, and you seeing all these options here because it's the full Splunk instance. If you are working on the search head clustering, right, in that case, if the instance is acting as a search head only, then you will see very limited options there. Activities, the saved jobs you configure, you can just visit them. The alerts got triggered, you can visit using this. Help, you can see the Splunk version and lot many other options like how to contact support and all those catalogs there. So now let's go back. Now here if you see the search modes, so Splunk comes with three search modes: fast mode, smart mode, and verbose mode. So quickly, let me explain what's the difference between this. If you click on fast mode, right, you see that lot many fields gone from here, right? And it's all it's mentioned here as well, right? Field discovery off. So if you go with the fast mode, whatever fields are auto populating in your data, those will go off. You will no longer see those fields here. However, you can still work uh, with those fields by using those fields in your SPL, just that you won't be able to see them here. Now, before going to smart mode, let's go to verbose mode. So in verbose, you will see that all fields are populating here, right? So you know what all fields are there in my data, and you can simply click on them, and then there are some default options are there. So taking the aggregation, max, min field, rare field. So you can use these default options here. Then there is a mode called smart mode. So in smart mode, also the field discovery will be on by default, but the thing is, if you go with states commands, the field discovery will be off. Now you can't go back to your events and see the data there. And that's why it's smart mode. So it works in both ways. If you're using states, then it works as a fast mode. If you're not using states, then it works as a verbose mode. So if you remove this states and still run the query in smart mode, you will see that all fields are populating here. As soon as you use these states, the field discovery will be off, and you will just see the statistics, what command you are using there, right? So these are the different search modes there. Now the important point here, you see these fields, right? So before some fields using a symbol, and the other one is the hash. So what it explains, if it's a before the field name, it means it's the text field. It's the text field, right? So even for app also, if you see, so these are text fields, you will see, and if you click on hash, you will see those will be numeric values. So that's what this symbol denotes here, a symbol and the hash symbol. Source type, whatever source type you define for the data during ingestion, you will see that here. So you can, and for one index you can have multiple source types as well, right? So you can choose whatever source type you need, like whatever data you need to write your SPL. So you can select appropriate source type. You can select multiple source types as well using the in command. So you can put another source type here. So this is how you can define multiple source type in your query. But we just have one source type for now, so let's focus on that. Now second thing, important thing is here, if you click on patterns, right, it will analyze your logs for this index and the source type, and will come up with all the different distinct patterns in your data. So we have these three kinds of patterns in our data, so that's what it populates here. And if you click on any one of them, it will tell you the number of events with that pattern, and some other info related to that. Stats, you won't see anything here, but as you use queries here, stats queries, you will see that under stats. Visualization, again, you can visualize your data using chart or time chart command. So we can just say time chart, and if I want to segregate my counts over the span of one day, I can do that and visualize that in the chart format here, right? So, and I get lot many options here. So whatever chart feels appropriate for you, you can use them. Even the pie chart option is also there. Now let's try to concentrate on the advanced part of the SPLs. So these were few basic things that I wanted to cover before actually going into the work of writing the SPLs, right? So now index you define, source type you define. Now the main important thing you need to keep in mind, selecting the time. So by default it runs the query for last 24 hours. Just assume you have the plenty of data, right? You have huge data ingested to any index, and if you run it for all time, it will take good amount of time in returning the result for that index when you select all time, right? So index, I mean, obviously you are aware with the term index. It's very similar to the indexes we have been seeing in our books and at many other places, right? We can simply refer that page number and reach to that location, right? So that's how it works in Splunk as well. If you define the index, for that index, there will be a bucket created, and in that bucket also you will have there is a raw data, and Splunk maintains inverted index file as well, tsidx. So what it does, so if you pick the relevant time, it will simply go there and pick the data from that location. It does not unnecessarily run it out for complete index and return the data for you, right? So if you run it for all time, then the query is going to take huge time to return the data. So it's better you select the appropriate time, like for what time you want to pull out the events, and you need the data to populate in report or in dashboard or in alert. So maybe for alert, you just want to query the data for last 24 hours, right? So in last 24 hours, for example, if you want to catch if there were any events with error keyword or exception keyword, so that's how you can make your query effective by choosing the right time from here. So as I explained during my last video, so Splunk follows the sequence of events. So firstly, you perform any action on it, right? So the sequence is followed by a pipe symbol. So you got index, you got source type. Now to write your query, what you want to get from this data. So for example, let's pick one by one. I just want the number of events for this index for this source type. So it's 9381. Now using pipe symbol, I will write another query. I want to see the count of events by action field. So pipe symbol states count by action. So I want to see how many different actions are there and what's the event count for those. So for allow, if you see there are 2469 events. For deny, there are 2508 events. Similarly, you can use multiple fields in the group by clause. So this by is nothing, it's very similar to group by clause in SQL, right? So you can use multiple fields in by clause. So we used action. Now we wanted to break down the data further using the app field as well. So we wanted to see, or let's put it app first and then action. So for each app, I want to see data how many actions were allowed, how many were denied. So for FTP, 406 were allowed, 403 were denied. So similarly for other apps, you can see it. So that's how you can write your SPL followed by a pipe symbol in a sequence, right? So this is one part of the query, and then once you got your events, now you're performing the stats on those events. Even now, if you want to, okay, so let's put another pipe symbol. So I want another, see, I'm putting another query here followed by a pipe symbol. So this again comes into a sequence only, right? So one part ends here, second part ends here. Now for third part, I want how many, or let's put it in a way, count of app, DC of app basically. So DC is nothing, it's the distinct values for that field. If I put count, right, it will count each occurrence of the app field. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in total, it will give me that there are total 6 apps. But I want how many distinct apps are there. So I just put DC of app, and you can see 1, 2, 3 distinct apps are there. So it will give me that count. So that, and even I can put another sequence here followed by a pipe. symbol. So now I want it to take the sum of count field here. So I will use pipe symbol, and I will use, if you do not define any field here, right, explicitly, and if you simply run, it will try to sum all the numerical fields in your data. So here no numerical value, here no numerical value, but these two columns are numerical fields, right? So it will just take the sum of these fields. Okay, so I can define label there basically. If I want to give any name for this addition, right? The sum I'm doing there. So I can define total, and I can define label field. So label field, I want to put this text below this label field is app. So you can see it has created label there, and it has given me the sum for these two numeric fields. Right now, if we want to count, do it only for count field. So that field you can define here, or like if you want to do it for multiple fields, you can define those fields here. So that's how Splunk follows the sequence of queries, right? So now let's go back to the events. So this is one part of the query again. Let's try to go with the table. And table, I want to put all the fields in the tabular form. So you can see whatever fields are there in the data, it has uh, created a table with those fields and returning the results, right? What I just need the specific fields. So maybe I just need the time field, I just need app and the action, or maybe any other field I can pick. Yeah, maybe a source field. So it will just return the data for those four fields. And you can see here, it has returned the data in the tabular form because we are using table command. Now, in a further sequence, if you want to take the, maybe you just want to take the total, you can still use here stats command. You can take the distinct count of app, or whatever you want to do further with this data, you can do that by following the pipe symbol. So Splunk always follows the pipe sequence by, and the next sequence always works on the previous data set, right? So this table command is working on the data that's being written by this first query, right? So that's how it works. Now let's go to some other important concepts here. So as if you remember, I explained about inclusion, exclusion, filtering the data, all those things, right? So if you see here in app, we have three fields, three values there, right? SSL, FTP, HTTP. Now, what if you do not need the data for SSL and FTP? You just need the data for HTTP. So what you can do, you can say app doesn't equals to SSL and app doesn't equals to FTP. So let's run this. So now we have the data only for HTTP, right? But this query can still be expensive because it will still look out for all the data first, and then it will exclude these results. So what I'm trying to explain, I mean, we anyway know that we need the data for HTTP app, right? So if we know that, then it's better to do an inclusion here instead of exclusion, right? So do that. So instead of writing this way, it's better to write app equals to HTTP, right? So it's going to be more faster than the other way. So inclusion is always better than exclusion in Splunk. That's what I'm trying to explain here. Now the second part is, okay, so in the next sequence after pipe symbol, I just want the count by action. So this is also an important point. Now I got the count by action for the app HTTP, right? So because I filtered the data only for the HTTP events. Now, what if you want to display only action equals to allow? So you can do that, still search action equals to allow, and it will return you the appropriate result here. But again, this query becomes expensive, right? Because what it's doing, it's returning the result from this state query first, giving you the states by action, and then you are doing the filtering here, right? So I mean, it's in, like, even if you are doing filtering here, the Splunk has to run this complete query, right? So it's not actually benefiting the Splunk to use less resources. So what you can do instead of filtering it here, you could have filtered it here itself, right? Action equals to allow, and you see the same output here, right? So you can, so whatever filtering you can do before performing states, or like whatever command you are using in Splunk, it's as, so it's always better to do the filtering beforehand before performing any further calculations on the events. So these are major points to keep in mind when writing on SPLs. By selecting the appropriate time range, doing the filtering of the data, in, inclusion, exclusion, all these things are important in Splunk when writing the SPLs. Yeah, so I think that's it for this session. Uh, just do let me know in the comment box if you have any doubt on writing the basic Splunk queries. I will be happy to assist, and hopefully I will come up with the next video explaining more on using a Splunk GUI and configuring the reports, alerts, and dashboards.